T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. The final liftoff of Atlantis.
Hello. Have you ever wondered why we choose to associate exams, homework, and tasks with a lot of stress? Why do we dread on doing some activities while we are overly excited for others? The answer to this question first occurred to me while I was washing the dishes. A housework assignment that I had managed to avoid for almost 28 years of my existence. And the same emotions I felt while doing the dishes, stress, anxiety, fear, I felt during most of the 18 years I spent inside of the educational system. How did I even end up having those emotions? Especially because I started school with this look on my face. In time, I realized that the only difference between me enjoying to go to school or to wash the dishes was my label of perception, my own choice.
We're choosing how to react in each and every second of our existence. You're choosing how to react right now as you're listening and looking at me. The catch is, only 1% of those choices are made consciously. Most of our reactions are unconscious.
For example, if my dread of washing the dishes would come from my early childhood, when I would hear my mother complaining about the unwashed dishes, I would naturally associate it with an unpleasant task, leading me to avoid washing the dishes. But instead, if I would have heard my mother laughing and I would have enjoyed being close to water as a baby, I would probably love to wash the dishes by now. Ergo, whatever happens around us in early childhood, and it happened to you as well, defines our unconscious mechanisms, which in turn define all of our future actions.
Stress, anxiety, disappointment, it all stems from the basic conflict between internal expectation and external results. So basically, if you want your day to go smoothly and amazing, but you end up having a fight instead, you'll start feeling disappointment, which in turn will lead to anxiety and stress the next time you want to go on a date, because who knows what other kinds of disappointment you will meet.
But what if we could start consciously choosing to change the label of our perception from stressful to relaxing? What we call relaxing is actually made out of all of the moments in which we stop, listening to our unconscious fears. Our fears of being rejected, of being left out, of being misunderstood, because let's face it, we've all been there. A great way of doing that, of facing your fears, is by entering a state of flow, what we call a state of meditating while still being active. I, for example, enter this amazing state each and every single time I teach. And it's what keeps me going for 10, 12, even 15 hours in a row without needing to eat, sleep, drink, or rest. It's incredible. So I've started thinking, what if I could take this state into the dishwashing activity? It would become extraordinary. And I studied, and I did it, and it worked. I then went even further. What if I could apply this into learning, because I was a teacher? So I started thinking about my obvious flow moments. And it shortly came to me that it was while playing games that I forgot about my fears, and I entered this amazing state of being. And trust me, I was an avid gamer in my preteens and teens. I wanted my pupils to reach this exact state while learning. So I started to look closely at games and all of their incredible mechanisms to help you face your fears.
And those mechanics is what we call the gamification process, and is a process that offers a lot of advantages. First of all, being the fact that it gives instant rewards, which means that it gives us a strong dopamine rush every time that we fulfill a task, which means that it hooks us and makes us to fulfill more tasks to get more rewards. Secondly, it stops us from identifying with our fears, because after all, it's just a game and there is no real source of disappointment. And last but not least, it helps us bring focus into the task at hand with less effort.
So, because I was an ex-gamer and a current teacher that had recently discovered the state of flow, I decided to put them all together in a way that could benefit my pupils. And I started applying these mechanisms in the classroom and started to notice the huge transformations. My pupils could stay and learn and draw for 10 to 12 hours in a row without feeling bored or tired. We even reached a state in which we shared the flow, and it had incredibly good results as well. They all passed the exams with flying colors. So I then decided to take it out of my personal classroom and into the world. And because my pupils, and some of you as well, are facing the baccalaureate exam and are choosing to identify it with tons of stress, disappointment, I decided to be my first stepping stone. We call it Eazy Back. And we spell it with an I-Z-I, which we know makes it more confusing, but we wanted to point out that it isn't as easy to create or to develop.
Its purpose is to increase the efficiency of learning in the sense that it increases the engagement of the pupils with 70% with the educational process, the retention of knowledge by 90%, and greatly reduce the time spent in traffic while commuting to private tutors. But most of all, its main purpose is to make learning fun. So we tested and reiterated hundreds of ways of engaging the students with the act of education through our app.
In many ways, or in all the ways, you are our teachers. We want to learn what helps you, what motivates you, what you consider to be useful, so we could build more of that. And at the same time, what annoys you, what stresses you, what causes you to feel fear, so we could reduce and eliminate them more. It's really important for us to research, to document, to study. And I did that for a whole year in the alternative university. I was ready to make it happen. It was then when I joined the Social Impact Award competition back in 2017, a social business bootcamp of 3 months in which I learned the basics of social entrepreneurship. And it was during these months that my husband, Adrian, decided to join me and made me feel like I wasn't doing this alone. I finally had a team.
Our next goal was to find like-minded people that could help us transform this idea into reality. And then the universe gave us Eddie, our main developer, and together we made something real. It was the first version of the app with which we won the competition. Our next steps were to develop it even further and launch it publicly, and we did that 1 year after in 2018. And by then, 2 more developers, Laurențiu and Răzvan, they joined the team, and we now had a live website and a working app.
So our next steps was to bring it to the people, to you. It was the point when we reached out to amazing pupil ambassadors, as yourselves, and managed to attract over 100 of them nationwide in Romania. We now needed even more content, so we reached out to teachers. And to our amazing surprise, they decided to help us develop content pro bono, without needing us to pay them.
So in the past year, we managed to win multiple awards for social impact to reach over 25,000 pupils. We managed to redesign our entire app, add a lot more questions, solidify our team, and we learned a lot. But the main takeaway was the fact that we had now 2 chances to expand our concept further than where we are now. And the first one was in the form of a Romanian family established in the USA. They wanted to engage the pupils there for the SAT exam. And we started a project called Smart Bus because it takes places in the yellow buses that you have all heard about. Christian, the leader of the project, had to study and pass the SAT exam, so he brought the use case and we brought the expertise.
On the other hand, we started developing with a global white label solution called Eazy Edu that could gamify any type of curricula. And for this, we have already obtained European funding and have started to develop. Our first stepping stone is financial education made fun. but the world is our oyster, especially now after recently receiving the seal of excellence at a European level. That, of course, will enable us to expand into the whole Europe. So we have naturally started to think globally. And remember, I started from washing the dishes. And now, we cannot stop.
But in order to scale globally, we need a radically different infrastructure and business model. And now to think about it, everything that humanity has did in the past 5,000 years, from clans, villages, cities, social structures, institutions, states, alliance, they're all based on one thing and one thing alone, and that is distrust. And it makes a lot of sense because stemming from basic psychology, we have independent minds and diverging or even competing objectives. So naturally, there is no way to trust each other. This is why we have built a system of overseers, a system of checks and balances, states to protect us from other citizens, alliances to protect us from other states. But this is hindering the collective evolution of mankind. We need to foster more collaboration to grow towards our next steps in our evolution. This means that we also need to cut back on the unneeded intermediaries that are only there to provide trust and authority. We need to have a decentralized social structure in which collaboration and not competition is the main driving force.
And this, my friends, is also the future of education. We have envisioned an ecosystem in which anyone and everyone can become a teacher, as long as they are good enough at a subject and willing to share their knowledge. School, as an institution, will become an outdated concept. People could learn through engaging games and through digital content made by some of the best experts in the world. And when I say best experts, we do not mean with the most diplomas or academic pedigree, but the ones recognized by their pupils and peers as being the best and most inspiring teachers. No more waking up early in the morning only to lose time in traffic. You could learn at home or even from your mobile device from the seaside.
Your knowledge and your psychometric abilities will be objectively graded straight from your interactions with the games that you play, in a testing done by an AI in an objective way that will also be able to mentor you across learning paths like skills in the RPG games. And all your private data, all your grades and all your abilities will be securely held on a blockchain to which only you have the key to access them. And that means it will be a digital representation, an immutable digital representation of your knowledge and skills.
And you could also have the chance of making the data public so that HR specialists or AIs could match your personality, your skills, knowledge, and desires to a really well-tailored job. So well-fitting that you will never have to post TGIF photos on social media, hopefully ever again.
We call this concept unity. And it all stems from our vision. Our vision is one in which learning is not something stressful, in which schools are not the rigid institutions that we know that it teaches outdated knowledge in obsolete ways. But we think learning should be a journey of self-discovery, like finding your innate talents and honing them, like inner gems that you want to polish into something that you truly think it represents you, into something that you're proud of, not like a mask that you wear from 9 to 5 to earn a living. We should pursue vocations, not diplomas. We should build skills, not portfolios. And if we manage to do that, we will be closer to the true meaning of the word education, in Greek educare, to bring forth, to help the next generations develop without stifling their curiosity, without killing their creativity or dreams.
Humanity stands on the precipice of great changes, but it faces even greater challenges. For too long, we have sacrificed the dreams of children and younger generations to preserve an educational system that is over 150 years old. In order to grow and thrive as a society, we must empower you, the younger generations, with tools that could allow you to develop as the powerful pillars of tomorrow that we all need. And as I like to say, we must build and plant trees under whose shade we do not expect to sit.
The road to self-discovery is a sinuous one, but it must not be tedious. Learn to love the education that will make you the man or woman that you will become. And find ways to make that fun process along the way. Find ways to follow the things that you love to do, the things that keep you up at night and make you earn for more information. And if you do that, not only you will help the world,
but you will find inner peace and happiness.
you will find unity. Thank you.
Thank you.